Have you ever wondered why some couples seem to grow even closer with age, while others slowly lose the excitement they once shared? The answer is often much simpler than most people imagine. It is rarely about youth, appearance, or physical strength. More often, it comes down to understanding, patience, and learning the small details that many people overlook. I'm Dr. Jocelyn, a urologist and men's health specialist, and for the past 7 years, I've worked closely with men over the age of 50 who wanted to rebuild confidence, strengthen emotional connection, and enjoy a more satisfying, intimate relationship. Today, we're going to discuss a subject that many men feel too embarrassed to ask about, even though it can make a remarkable difference in a healthy relationship. By understanding the proper approach, you can become a more attentive, confident, and caring partner while creating a more comfortable and enjoyable experience for both of you. Before we begin, I have one small favor to ask. Please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss future guidance created especially for men over 50 who want practical, trustworthy advice for improving their health, confidence, and relationships. One of the biggest myths I hear from patients is that this skill is completely natural and doesn't require any learning. Many believe that anyone can do it correctly without understanding the basics. In reality, that assumption often leads to disappointment for both partners. Think about any activity that requires coordination and awareness, whether it's preparing a great meal, playing golf, or learning a musical instrument. The more knowledge and practice you have, the better your results become. Intimacy works the same way. A man who understands how a woman's body responds physically, emotionally, and psychologically is often able to create a much more positive experience than someone who simply rushes through the moment without paying attention. From a biological standpoint, the hands allow careful, controlled movements that can be adjusted with remarkable precision. Unlike other forms of stimulation, they provide flexibility, sensitivity, and the ability to respond to subtle changes in comfort and arousal. Different parts of the female anatomy respond differently depending on pressure, rhythm, and timing, making patience far more valuable than force or speed. Emotionally, however, the physical aspect is only one part of the experience. Many women respond just as strongly to feeling understood, respected, and genuinely cared for. When a partner takes time, remains attentive, and focuses on shared connection instead of rushing toward an outcome, intimacy often becomes much more meaningful. Instead of viewing this as a simple physical act, think of it as another way of communicating affection, trust, and emotional presence. That mindset alone can completely change the quality of your relationship. There is also an important practical side that should never be ignored. Preparation matters more than many men realize. Clean hands, neatly trimmed nails, and gentle movements are not optional details. They are essential parts of showing respect for your partner's comfort and safety. Overlooking these basics may cause unnecessary discomfort or even minor injuries to delicate tissue, turning what should be a positive experience into an unpleasant one. Throughout my years of practice, I have spoken with countless men over 50 who believed their best intimate years were already behind them. Many had quietly accepted that passion naturally disappears with age. Yet after learning a few simple adjustments involving technique, pacing, communication, and patience, they often returned with completely different experiences to share. Their partners described feeling more relaxed, more connected, and more emotionally fulfilled. Many couples reported stronger intimacy than they had experienced in years, proving that age itself is not the deciding factor. Knowledge, awareness, and willingness to learn usually make the greatest difference. That's exactly why today's discussion is so valuable. Throughout this video, I'll guide you through 7 practical principles supported by scientific understanding and years of clinical observation. These recommendations are straightforward, easy to remember, and useful for men at virtually every stage of adulthood, especially those who want to become more thoughtful and confident partners. Let's begin with the first mistake I see far too often, and that is moving forward before enough time has been spent building anticipation. Many men mistakenly treat foreplay as something they simply need to finish before getting to what they consider the main event. In reality, the female body responds gradually rather than instantly. As arousal develops, blood circulation naturally increases throughout the genital area. Lubrication improves, and sensitive structures become far more responsive to gentle stimulation. Skipping this process may reduce comfort and lessen overall pleasure. Beyond the physical changes, there is also an emotional message being communicated. Taking your time demonstrates patience, attentiveness, and genuine concern for your partner's experience rather than focusing only on your own expectations. In practical terms, begin slowly by creating closeness through affectionate kissing, gentle touches around the neck and shoulders, soft caresses along the thighs, and playful teasing before progressing further. Allow anticipation to build naturally instead of rushing from one step to the next. That growing sense of expectation often contributes significantly to both emotional excitement and physical readiness. I remember speaking with one gentleman in his early 60s who admitted that he had spent years moving too quickly because he believed efficiency was the key to intimacy. After intentionally slowing his pace and focusing on gradual affection, he noticed an immediate difference. His partner became noticeably more relaxed, more responsive, and much more engaged, leading to an experience that felt far more rewarding for both of them than anything they had previously shared. Now let's move to the second mistake, and this is one I hear about surprisingly often during consultations. Many men become impatient and rush ahead before their partner has had enough time to feel completely comfortable and fully engaged. They assume that moving quickly will create more excitement, but in reality, the opposite usually happens. The female body benefits from gradual progression, allowing tissues to become more relaxed and responsive over time. When everything happens too fast, comfort may decrease and the overall experience can become less enjoyable. Emotionally, rushing also sends an unintended message that the moment is being driven by impatience instead of shared connection. That feeling alone can interrupt desire before it has the opportunity to develop naturally. A much better approach is to begin slowly, paying attention to your partner's comfort while allowing anticipation to build. Gentle touch, careful pacing, and observing her reactions create an environment where she feels relaxed rather than hurried. Instead of thinking about the next step, stay present in the current one. Notice her breathing, her body language, and the small changes that indicate growing comfort and enjoyment. Those quiet signals often tell you much more than words ever could. I remember one couple explaining that everything changed once the husband stopped rushing and focused on making his wife feel comfortable first. She later told him that for the first time in years, she truly felt that he was paying attention to her needs rather than simply following a routine. That small change transformed the quality of their relationship and brought back a level of closeness they thought had been lost. The third mistake involves believing that stronger always means better. This misunderstanding causes unnecessary discomfort for many couples. Delicate tissues respond much better to gentle, controlled movements than to excessive pressure or overly aggressive handling. More intensity does not automatically create more pleasure. In fact, introducing too much force too early often has the opposite effect by causing tension instead of relaxation. Trust develops when a partner feels that every movement is thoughtful, patient, and respectful. Practical technique is important here. Begin carefully, keep your movements controlled, and allow your partner's comfort to determine the pace rather than your own expectations. Small adjustments usually produce much better results than dramatic ones. Continue paying close attention to her reactions because every woman responds differently. If she appears comfortable and relaxed, you can gradually adapt your approach. If she seems tense or uncertain, slow down and give her more time. There is no advantage in rushing. One gentleman once admitted that he believed moving faster and using greater intensity would naturally improve the experience. Instead, his partner became uncomfortable almost immediately. After learning to slow everything down and let patience guide the experience, he noticed a remarkable improvement. His wife became much more relaxed, much more responsive, and both of them described the experience as significantly more satisfying than before. That conversation reinforced something I often tell my patients. Confidence does not come from speed or force. It comes from awareness, patience, and knowing how to respond to your partner instead of relying on assumptions. The fourth lesson focuses on an area that many men have heard about, but never fully understood. Because of uncertainty, Some simply avoid learning about it altogether, believing that it is either impossible to locate or unnecessary to consider. In reality, understanding female anatomy allows a partner to be much more attentive and responsive during intimate moments. Certain areas inside the body contain a higher concentration of nerve endings and may respond differently depending on the individual. Every woman is unique, which is why observation and communication remain far more important than following a fixed routine. Rather than relying on repetitive movements or assuming that one technique works for everyone, approach intimacy with curiosity and patience. Build gradually, remain attentive, and allow your partner's natural responses to guide your pace. Listen to her breathing, notice changes in body language, and remember that comfort should always come before intensity. I recall working with a man in his 50s who admitted that he had avoided learning about female anatomy simply because he lacked confidence. After spending time understanding the basics and focusing more carefully on his partner's feedback, the couple described a dramatic improvement in both emotional closeness and physical satisfaction. His wife later shared that she felt genuinely understood and appreciated, while he gained confidence simply by paying closer attention instead of relying on guesswork. Their story reminds us that successful intimacy is rarely about complicated techniques. More often, it comes from patience, understanding, and a sincere willingness to learn together. The fifth mistake is one that often goes unnoticed, yet it can have a tremendous impact on the quality of intimacy. Many men become so focused on what they believe they should be doing that they completely overlook the responses their partner is giving them. Every woman communicates in her own way. Sometimes she expresses comfort and enjoyment through words, but very often her body tells the story long before she says anything at all. Her breathing may become slower or deeper. Her body may naturally move closer. She may relax, smile, or respond with subtle movements that reveal whether something feels pleasant or whether an adjustment would make the experience even better. These quiet signals are incredibly valuable, but they only help if you're paying attention. Biologically, every woman's body is unique. What feels comfortable or pleasurable for one person may not feel the same for someone else. There is no universal formula that works in every relationship. Emotionally, listening to your partner's feedback demonstrates respect, patience, and genuine care. It shows that your goal is to share the experience together rather than simply following your own expectations. In practical terms, slow down enough to observe her reactions. If something seems especially enjoyable, continue with that rhythm. If she appears uncomfortable or less engaged, don't hesitate to make small adjustments. Even asking a gentle question or checking that she's comfortable can strengthen trust rather than interrupt the moment. One of my patients once told me that he was amazed by how much difference a few simple adjustments made. He changed nothing dramatic. He simply paid closer attention, slowed his pace, and adapted based on his wife's responses. According to both of them, those small changes created a level of comfort and connection they had not experienced in many years. It was another reminder that attentiveness is often far more powerful than technique alone. The sixth mistake may sound obvious, yet it remains surprisingly common, and that is overlooking personal hygiene before intimate contact. Many people underestimate how important these simple habits truly are. From a medical perspective, cleanliness plays a significant role in protecting both partners. Hands that are not properly washed, rough skin, or nails that are too long may cause unnecessary irritation or increase the risk of minor injuries and infections. These problems are completely preventable with just a little preparation. Emotionally, good hygiene also sends an important message. It communicates thoughtfulness, respect, and consideration for your partner's comfort. These details may seem small, but they contribute greatly to the overall experience. Before intimacy, take a few moments to make sure your hands are clean, your nails are neatly trimmed, and your skin feels smooth rather than rough or jagged. Those simple steps require very little effort, yet they demonstrate that you value your partner's well-being just as much as your own. I remember one gentleman who genuinely had no idea that his rough fingernails were causing discomfort for his wife. Neither of them had connected the problem to something so simple. After making a few basic grooming changes, the difference was almost immediate. His wife became noticeably more relaxed, and both of them reported a much more enjoyable experience. That conversation has stayed with me because it perfectly illustrates how the smallest improvements often produce the biggest results. In many cases, success isn't about learning something complicated. It's about consistently practicing the basics with care and attention. The seventh and final mistake is perhaps the most important of all, because it influences every other aspect of intimacy. Many men focus almost entirely on physical technique, while forgetting that emotional connection is often the foundation of genuine satisfaction. Physical skill certainly has value, but without emotional presence, many couples never experience the level of closeness they truly desire. Biology and emotion work together. When a woman feels emotionally safe, respected, and appreciated, her body often responds more naturally. Relaxation improves, comfort increases, and the experience becomes much more enjoyable for both partners. Emotional closeness is not separate from physical intimacy. It is one of the reasons physical intimacy becomes more meaningful in the first place. In practical terms, this means staying present throughout the experience. Maintain warm eye contact whenever it feels natural. Speak kindly and offer reassuring words. Let your partner know that your attention is fully focused on her rather than being distracted by performance or expectations. Patience, encouragement, and genuine affection create an atmosphere where trust continues to grow. One patient shared something with me that I have never forgotten. He said that once he stopped worrying about performing perfectly and instead concentrated on making his wife feel emotionally connected, every intimate experience became more relaxed, more passionate, and more satisfying than anything they had shared before. His words reflected what research and clinical experience continue to show. Lasting intimacy is built on mutual understanding, emotional security, and a willingness to be fully present with one another. Those qualities never lose their value, regardless of age. Now that we've discussed the 7 most common mistakes, let's bring everything together into a simple approach that you can actually remember and apply. Many men believe they need complicated techniques or years of experience to become a better partner. The truth is much more encouraging. Consistency, patience, and attention to detail usually produce far greater results than trying to impress someone with unnecessary complexity. Every positive experience begins before intimacy even starts. Preparation is the first step. Take a few moments to make sure your hands are freshly washed, your nails are neatly trimmed, and your skin feels clean and smooth. These small habits protect your partner's comfort while also demonstrating respect and consideration. They may seem minor, but they establish the right foundation for everything that follows. Once you're both relaxed, resist the temptation to rush ahead. Instead, allow the experience to develop naturally. Spend time enjoying full body affection, gentle kissing, warm embraces, soft touches, and playful moments that create anticipation rather than pressure. Emotional comfort often grows alongside physical closeness, and giving both partners enough time to settle into the moment makes a remarkable difference. Remember that anticipation itself is part of intimacy. There is no prize for reaching the next stage as quickly as possible. When you slow your pace, you allow your partner's body and mind to respond together, creating a much more comfortable and enjoyable experience. As intimacy progresses, continue using gentle, controlled movements while paying close attention to your partner's reactions. Avoid assuming that one rhythm or one approach will always be correct. Every woman is unique, and even the same person may respond differently depending on the day, her mood, her comfort level, or her emotional state. This is why observation is so valuable. Notice changes in her breathing, body language, facial expressions, and overall level of relaxation. If something appears to bring greater comfort or enjoyment, maintain that pace. If her responses change, be willing to adjust without hesitation. Confidence is not about refusing to change. True confidence comes from being flexible, attentive, and willing to learn from your partner's feedback throughout the experience. As your understanding grows, continue approaching female anatomy with patience rather than assumptions. Build gradually, remain gentle, and never confuse force with effectiveness. Small, thoughtful adjustments are almost always more beneficial than large, aggressive movements. Throughout every stage, remember that communication remains one of your greatest strengths. Sometimes your partner will tell you exactly what feels comfortable, while at other times her body language will provide all the guidance you need. Listen carefully, observe respectfully, and respond with patience instead of urgency. Continue maintaining good hygiene before every intimate moment, because those simple habits protect both partners while reinforcing trust and care. Most importantly, never lose sight of the emotional side of intimacy. Warm eye contact, kind words, reassurance, genuine affection, and simply being emotionally present often strengthen physical pleasure in ways that technique alone never can. When you combine thoughtful preparation, gradual pacing, careful observation, respectful communication, and emotional closeness, you create experiences that feel natural, memorable, and deeply satisfying for both of you. These principles are not complicated, yet they consistently produce stronger relationships because they place connection above performance and understanding above assumption. Gentlemen, if there is one message I hope you take away from today's discussion, it's this. Lasting intimacy has never been about speed, perfection, or trying to impress your partner. The strongest relationships are built through patience, trust, emotional presence, and a genuine willingness to understand one another. Those qualities become even more valuable as we grow older. While our bodies naturally change with age, our ability to create meaningful connection does not disappear. In many ways, experience gives us an advantage that youth simply cannot replace. You have the ability to communicate better, to listen more carefully, and to appreciate the importance of emotional closeness as much as physical affection. Those strengths often become the foundation of the most rewarding relationships later in life. The next time you share an intimate moment with your partner, don't focus on rushing toward an outcome. Instead, slow everything down. Pay attention to the small details. Notice her comfort, her breathing, her expressions, and the subtle ways she responds. Let patience guide your actions instead of habit. Show kindness through gentle touch, reassuring words, and your willingness to remain fully present throughout the experience. When emotional connection and thoughtful attention come first, physical intimacy often becomes more relaxed, more enjoyable, and far more meaningful for both of you. Remember that every relationship is different, and there is no single formula that fits every couple. The best partners continue learning, communicating, and growing together throughout every stage of life. I have seen countless men over the age of 50 regain confidence simply by making small, consistent improvements instead of searching for dramatic solutions. They discovered that meaningful change rarely comes from one big breakthrough. More often, it comes from practicing simple habits with care, respect, and patience every single time. Those small improvements strengthen trust, increase comfort, deepen emotional connection, and help both partners feel valued. That is what healthy intimacy should always be about. So tonight, challenge yourself to approach your relationship with greater awareness. Listen more than you assume. Observe more than you rush. Be patient instead of hurried. Let your partner feel heard, respected, and emotionally safe. These simple choices can transform not only your intimate life, but also the overall strength of your relationship. Never believe that getting older means losing your ability to satisfy your partner or maintain a passionate connection. Age often brings wisdom, confidence, emotional maturity, and the ability to create deeper bonds than ever before. Those qualities are incredibly attractive, and they can make your relationship stronger with each passing year. If you found today's discussion helpful, please support the channel by giving this video a like. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Which lesson surprised you the most? Or which tip do you think will make the biggest difference in your relationship? Your experiences may encourage other men who are working toward healthier, happier relationships as well. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you never miss future videos focused on men's health, confidence, healthy aging, and building stronger intimate relationships after 50. I'm Dr. Jocelyn, and I want to remind you that meaningful improvements begin with small, mindful choices. Every thoughtful step you take today can lead to greater confidence, deeper connection, and a more fulfilling relationship tomorrow. Never underestimate the value of your experience, your patience, and your willingness to keep learning. Those qualities are some of your greatest strengths, and they can help you become the thoughtful, confident, and caring partner you've always wanted to be.